Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Josh, aka J Time, and this is Mass Debaters Presents the Three Count. It's a wrestling show, a wrestling podcast by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. And today we are going to be talking about the Royal Rumble. Just happened yesterday, one of my favorite pay per views of the year, even above WrestleMania, though I love WrestleMania. And it officially puts us on the road to WrestleMania. So we are here to talk about that today. And I'm joined by two huge wrestling fans today. Going to let them introduce themselves to you, starting with DeAndre.
Hello, my name is Dan Robson. I host a lot of match better stuff, but you know this already. If you definitely listening and watching, and yeah, I'm just happy to have that. I'm happy to have the three count back for a little bit. Freddie, I'm not gonna lie, I love the shirt. Yeah, I'm passing to Freddie.
I was about to say your host. I am Freddie Fisher. I am the host of multiple podcasts. Number one is the entire shirt that DeAndre was pointing out. It is the Bracket Bastards podcast, where we take a bracket of 32, 64, 128 more and banter our way down to a winner. We also have another wrestling podcast, much like the Three Count, but the Three Count specializes in something that we don't do. They do. You guys do more of the weekly type stuff, and I applaud it, because one thing that Central Booking does is not does the week by week stuff. We have just special projects, and Josh has been on there twice now for every single show we've had. We've only had two shows so far, but we booked our own Royal Rumble and we booked our own WrestleMania so far. We have many episodes and projects and stuff left to go.
Yeah, I can vouch. Like Freddie said, I've been on there a couple times, both times so far, and it's a lot of fun because it's different than just reviewing. We just did our WrestleMania Dream Card last one, and we had a blast. So we're gonna get right into it. We are not gonna take too much time. We are gonna start talking about the Rumble, and the first match up was the Women's Rumble. What are you guys' thoughts, feelings, any highlights, all that good stuff?
I was highly disappointed. Like there's so many opportunities they had and they just didn't take it. I'm kind of glad it happened the way it did, because at least that made the men so much better in comparison. So, but with the exception of Jordan Grace making her official debut, I hope she stays on the main roster instead of going back down there. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure she's going back down. At least if she goes back down, at least she has the opportunity to win some championships on her way up, which will help boost it. But I would personally bring her up, because I think she has the skills to do it. Even last year's Rumble, she had to tone it down because she was out wrestling people who were in the match. So there's that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you about Jordan. I do not want to see her in NXT. NXT is already loaded. They got enough people. I'd rather see her immediately slotted into a mid-card title feud. Lyra Valkyria, even though she is very talented in the ring, WWE has just failed in presenting her with any kind of personality. She barely gets any pop. I mean, she came out last night during the Rumble and it was dead silent. So I'd like to see a good match between her and Jordan Grace, and then let Grace win the belt. And kind of like they did with the Motor City Machine Guns, hopefully she can revitalize that mid-card division for the women on whatever show they put her on. What about you, Dre? How'd you feel about the women's match?
That shit was horrible. I just want to say what that. So I'm gonna say this right now. I'm a father. You're gonna hear my daughter in the background. Sorry about that. Okay.
Hey, it is what it is.
She's just rehearsing. That's all she's doing.
No, she wants some chips.
She's gonna make her podcast debut eventually. She's just rehearsing for it.
She definitely is. That's my daughter. She's turning 3 in 2 days next.
Yeah, happy birthday to her.
We watched wrestling. We watched the Royal Rumble, and she was giving me all the frost splashes. Boom, elbows and shit. It's like, oh goddamn.
She might be a wrestler in the making.
Pound for pound, my daughter's the strongest person in the house. God's truth. There's 5 of us here. There's five of us here. Pound for pound, she's the strongest person in the house. Hand down true. I will not be surprised if she comes to wrestling. But I didn't like the road. A lot of things they missed on. and the crowd showed it as well.
Mhm.
I had a friend in a different group chat that was actually there, and he was showing the videos of people coming out and stuff. While viral like Kira, it was stone cold silent. They dropped the ball on bringing people out when they should have bring out. So the Pat when the Pat McAfee show had CM Punk on it a couple days ago, they talked about his wife. His wife was there. I would have loved it to come out. The only surprise was Alexa Bliss, and
Right.
they fumbled that. I didn't say that. I didn't think Alexa Bliss had to win, but to get taken out how she got taken out was BS. She should at least been in the Final Four. At least.
I don't even think Bliss was a surprise, to be perfectly honest. Because like she wasn't advertised, but like they've been harping on her for so long. The only real surprise that I saw was in Nikki Bella, and
Now,
that wasn't a good surprise. That was a why type thing.
it was the exact opposite for me, Freddie. I knew Nikki Bella was probably going to come because I read the dirt sheets, like most of us do, even though WWE said get out of them. And they had been talking about Nikki Bella possibly coming back and then wanting to come back. And so I kind of knew she'd probably be in the Rumble. But I fell for the whole, Alexa's coming back. Never mind, we're far apart on this contract. Creative's canceling everything. So I was really mad, actually, at WWE for dropping what I thought was the ball on Alexa Bliss's return. And so when she showed up, I was kind of shocked because they got me.
For Nikki being there, I understand why Nikki was there. And it was, and then it wasn't for us at all. It was really for Nikki and for DB survivors. I understand that part. I'm going to make sure I say that all the passion in the world for DB survivors. I know some DB survivors. I love you, but put that aside. That was the most anticlimactic 30th entry of all time.
I agree. Like I expected maybe Becky or somebody else, but to have Nikki come in 30th was just, I don't know, it's lackluster to me.
You could have put Nikki where AJ was. I'm sorry, you could put Nikki where Bliss was, and had Bliss come in 30th. It would have been a bigger pop, a way bigger pop
on both ends.
On both ends, on both ends. Because like, Nikki's here. The fact that Nikki, what messed Nikki up is the fact that she was 30th. Nobody really cared for her to be 30th. If she came in, I think Lexus was 17, 18, somewhere there, 20, somewhere there. She came in, she came in around that time. She would have got a much bigger pop. Pop.
If they would have swapped them,
And then Bliss came out on 30th, then that pop would have been bigger than she had. But it was so anticlimactic to have the last person be one of the Bella twins. It dropped the bar hard. They dropped the ball hard.
Well, I think the problem, and I think what Dre is trying to say here is that the expectations themselves is a lot higher. If you're at a number 30, you're supposed to be somebody super important. I don't really see Bella staying in very long. If you would have Bliss show up at number 30, especially with the dirt sheet saying that either she can or cannot make it with that entire hype, they're going there. If you're having her at number 30, there's an option, especially with Jade not showing up, with Lee not showing up, with a whole bunch of other people not showing up too. If you have a number 30 spot where there's so many people, Bliss is a good option. Bella, I'm not going to say anything against her because, to be perfectly honest, at least the only thing I could say with Nikki Bella is at least it wasn't Brie.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I could say, because the only good thing about Brie Bella that I actually like is her music.
The music
probably one of one on that one. To be honest,
you won't see Brie there unless Mox is coming back, and Mox said he's not coming back. He literally said that everywhere. He's nowhere near coming back. And I mean, sorry, Brian. Brian said he was coming back. Obviously, Brian he was about to retire. He wants to have one more match. He about to retire. Sorry, Brian said he's never coming back. Period. So You won't see Brie come back unless Brand comes.
Well, I'm still saying it's like at least it wasn't Brie. I think that's the only way that would make that worse.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't expecting Brie at all. I just saw Bella, Nikki Bella on Traders, not too terribly long ago. She's on Traders. She got out, but that was also recorded like last fall, so it wouldn't have mattered. No, I don't agree with number 30. I don't. Even at number 29, that's the problem. Like any other number would have been fine, but 30 and 27. Put her at number 2 or number 1 or whatever. Make number 1 would have probably been a bigger pop than anything else. But yeah,
I agree. Put her number 1, and you let her get, because I know what the WWE try to do. You try to give her as much love as possible because what she's going through. I understand that, but putting her at number 30 was not the case for that. You put number 1, that'd been great. You put number 15, 17, 20, that'd been great. Not number 30, not number 29, actually. Kind of true. You want to be in that middle, early tier as possible. And again, they just dropped the ball on that.
Well, and traditionally, 28, 29, and 30 are usually reserved for people that look like they have a good chance of winning. And so put her at 30, yeah, it was definitely a letdown. I will say, before we move on, as bad as I thought the match was, one of my highlights was definitely Chelsea Green. I thought all the spots she was involved in were comedic, were well done. You know, despite her heel behavior, the crowd loves her. She gets lots of applause, lots of pop. She's definitely was a good choice for that United States title win. And I love seeing them start to set up the whole her versus Piper thing with Piper eliminating her. Definitely looking forward to see what happens on Monday. Or well, no, probably won't be till Friday on SmackDown, but I enjoy that. You guys have any highlights that you felt that were positive that you enjoyed outside of I know you already mentioned Jordynne Grace. Anything else that you enjoyed about the Women's Rumble?
I mean, not really enjoy. There wasn't like I even put in comments. It was like a 2 out of 10 type situation.
I remember, yeah.
And that's just one. I'm a huge Jordynne Grace fan. I got to meet her in person. I got a picture of her when I was holding the entire TNA Knockouts belt too. So she's always going to have a special place around me type thing. And she's one of those down to earth wrestlers, like professional wrestlers I've ever met, like in person type thing. So I'm going to have a special place for her. My problem with the entire thing is Charlotte Flair winning it because it wasn't needed. But there was a comment made. I can't remember who posted it in chat. I think it was Dre who posted it in chat. But his friend said something along the lines of like, she's not relevant unless she has a title. And I think that needs to be said louder.
Yeah, no, it was definitely one of those things where you hear it and you're like, so true. It tracks. You know, she kind of reminds me very much of how Triple H was towards the end of his run, like with Evolution and stuff, where it was like when he had the title and everything, it was very, very relevant. When he didn't have it, he was still a good heel and stuff, but his best work was when he had the title.
So my question is this: is it the man making the title or the title making the man on this situation?
Good point. I mean, I will say the hype behind Charlotte's not entirely just hype. The match that her and Rhea put on at the last WrestleMania that she was involved in was a hell of a match. That was one of the hardest hitting women's matches I've seen outside NXT.
I was going to say that.
It wasn't sexy.
Like, that it's a see-through bodysuit type thing with that, and you could tell that because of how there was folds in it. Like I'm not going to call it fat because they're not fat and everybody when they bend over has rolls.
Right.
All right. You, me, everybody else. You can be the skinniest person in the damn world. You're going to have rolls when you bend over. Having a bodysuit like that is going to accentuate those because it's going to add shadows. Right when Dre's thing went off, that's kind of cool. But it's going to add shadows, and I'm not one to talk about weight. I'm not. I am a 39-year-old fat kid in freaking Iowa. I'm not one to say anything about that. But you shouldn't help pointing out flaws that other people are going to count as flaws. And I think that's what her outfit especially was doing. Nobody else's outfit had that problem.
I agree, because for me, it's not an attempt to body shame. I like all sizes, and I don't want to, because that's not generally the type of thing I do. But when it distracts from the match, and it distracted from it for me, like here's the person who's supposed to win, and the presentation doesn't look well. And with wrestling, presentation's everything. So I found it off-putting.
That and Jordan Grace's hair. Like, I don't know what they were thinking on that.
I don't see anybody going to a fight with Jordan Grace's hair. I do agree with Charlotte Flair's outfit. It did, to a point, distract her from what was going on. I don't blame her, though. That's the thing. I do think that Charlotte can be more relevant with other things. For instance, she was in the Survivor Series War Games, won the War Game matches. She did fantastic in that match. And I don't think she had a title during that. So she can do it, but because her name is Flair, you have to put her, you have to give her 17, 20 titles. It is what it is. And
no, you don't.
No. Do we have to? No. WWE is going to, because her name is Flair.
Right. I mean, they're already saying that they're going to lean heavily into her lineage and go with more of a Ric Flair style presentation for her now that she's back, which we'll see how it goes.
Speaking of GOAT shit too, Michael Cole got to stop calling everybody a GOAT.
Everything I was about, the greatest WWE announcer of all time, the greatest tag team.
Everything was GOAT, this GOAT, that, greatest all time, this greatest all time. Like yo, listen, I love Cena, right? So he has an argument about that because Cena is Cena, but fucking the ring. I didn't know the ring announcer name. I still don't know to this day what her name is. When you got Jillian, and you have
Aisha Taylor.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't know who the fuck she was. He said the greatest ring announcer right now. Yeah, Jillian. Yeah, what's her name? You got Jillian on the other brand. That's disrespectful right there. He's got to stop calling everybody the GOAT. And everybody got to start calling him the GOAT because there's no way in hell he's better than Jim Ross. There's no way in hell.
I will say he's not the greatest of all time because Jim Ross, especially during that period with him and the King, it was amazing. I will say of his generation currently of WWE announcers, he's the best one they have, especially after they got Vince out of his era. He really kind of opened up. He's much better. I couldn't stand Michael Cole back at that time.
He's having so much more fun now too. Like, just
Michael Cole now is one of my favorite things to watch on SmackDown. He's on SmackDown, I think, or Raw.
Yeah. No, they moved him back to Raw now.
Favorite things to listen to and watch on wrestling right now because he's like Freddie said, he's having fun. Mm-hmm. Pat DiMaggio Shell, he's doing we was at he's doing the yeet.
Yeah.
That shit is hilarious. So right now he's the best right now, including and I'm a big AEW fan. Even on AEW and TNA, wherever you are, he's the best commentator right now. Mm-hmm. But to call him the greatest of all time is horrible.
Yeah, no. It's definitely
the thing is, though, is that he didn't call himself greatest of all time, and your beef, from what I understand, is him calling other people greatest of all time. Now, Pat McAfee may have said that. I don't know, but so he called Taylor I can't remember the greatest of all time or the greatest at the moment. Which, granted, she's good, but the only reason she is good as she is because Samantha's not there.
Samantha left.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's what happened. I mean, yes, he was saying that, but I also think there's a bit of an agenda from the higher ups of here's what we want to present these things as. And I remember their whole thing of, Samantha left, we have to fix this. They brought Garcia back. And Garcia, you could tell she had some rust on her. There was a couple times where she struggled a little bit, and I think they panicked and were like, okay, Taylor's doing good. If we bring her up and we position her as the new Samantha, and push her as like the greatest. And so I don't even think that was cool. I think that was kind of like, hey, this is the company line on this person.
And to be honest, it's like, I'm going to agree with Dre on this one. I don't think she's earned anywhere near that. Even trying to boast the company line, like I don't even think she's the greatest now, even close to it. So now, granted, I don't think there's a lot of people out there that would contend with it. But I know local people that are better than some of the announcers that are out there now. I would like to give a shout out to Joe Tessitore, though. Of all the people that they've brought in and brought out and everything else, Joe Tessitore, and I remember him from. I don't watch sports. I'm hopefully going to be getting a job soon where I'll be doing a play-by-play type situation in a sport that I don't really understand. But that's going to be fun. I don't watch sports, but I remember him off of the show called Holy Moly.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
which I love that show. I was pissed when they took that damn thing off. But now that he's back on it, I think he's doing a damn good job.
What he does,
he's better than some of the other commentators there. Like I would take Joe Tessitore over Wade Barrett. I would take him over Corey Graves. I would take him over Booker T, like in a heartbeat.
Definitely over Booker.
Vic Joseph, no, I think he does a damn good job. Cole does a good job. I'm still not sold on. Can't remember the dude's name now off the top of my head. He's the wild guy on SmackDown. Football player.
Pat Mack.
Yeah, thank you, Pat McAfee. Which his show is great. I love his show, but I think he's a little too out there for wrestling, and that's saying a lot.
Right. I want to respectfully disagree. Personally, to me, out of all my close partners, commentary partners he had, I think that Pat's the best one. Because it's interesting. They give Pat more freedom to say what he wants now. Because back when Vince, that's one reason why he actually left a little bit, because he wants more of the creative. He couldn't do it. Now he has open. First, he's on Netflix, so he can say shit and all that kind of good stuff. He can say all that good stuff, right? And he can eat. He can do all that kind of good. He brings life and he gives life, especially to Cole. Cole is now up there eating. He's talking about
they crowd surfed. They fucking crowd surfed.
Here's my problem though. With Pat McAfee. Do you think Pat McAfee can play a heel?
Yeah,
you have face and heel commentators. You're supposed to have a heel commentator, a face commentator, and a play-by-play.
So here's my thought on that. Number one, I'm going to say yes, he can, because he has at times, plenty of times, but he does it different, And I will say that is the old school way they used to do it. But we're seeing a bit of an evolution. And with him, he does play that. When the Hills come out and they're giving Michael Cole shit, he laughs with them and gives Michael Cole shit about it. Like Bayley, when she used to come out when she was a heel and run down Michael Cole, I remember Pat would be agreeing with her like a stooge and making fun of it, but he was still likable in it. And so he can play that role, I think, and do it well. And then when he was in NXT and he brought his buddies in, and they played the heel role on the NXT for a bit, he did good with that. But I don't think you always need to do old school. Let's have somebody that on the commentary that's a heel, and let's have somebody on the commentary that's a face. As long as you have somebody that's advocating for both sides, whether they're face or heel, it's okay. You can have tweeners, I think.
Well, see, that's one of the problems that we have, though, is that when there's just a two of them, I think Pat is a lot more on the heel side, much like Corey Graves is. Corey Graves is on heel side a majority of the time.
True.
On the majority of the time. Pat McAfee's not always on the heel side. Like, he's a big Jey Uso fan. So that's one of the biggest faces you have right now. Spoiler alert, one of the winner of the Royal Rumble. Surprising Rumble winner.
We'll get there soon.
Yeah.
No, you know what? You got a point, Freddie, and I will agree, because one of the things I really enjoyed about was the three-man booth they had with Wade Barrett in the mix. A lot of people were worried Wade Barrett was going to get kind of overdone by Michael Cole and Pat Mack since they have such good chemistry. But I really feel like he kind of rounded that out, because while Cole was able to be more on the face side and Barrett was able to be more on the heel side, it allowed Pat Mack to kind of play both roles. But I will also say I'm a huge Pat Mack fan too, because the one thing he brings, besides, like DeAndre was saying, the fun, I mean, he brought Michael Cole out of the show, is something that I feel has been missing from wrestling commentary for a while, and that's a fan surrogate. I think in any kind of sport or any kind of fan thing, especially the stuff that's real nerdy. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, Star Trek nerd. When you have some kind of surrogate for the fan inserted in the actual thing, it makes it so much better because they say the stuff you're thinking. And several times, Pat Mack has done that as the fan surrogate. You know, he's different than the typical stooge because he'll say shit that he probably shouldn't say. And it's great because I'll be sitting there thinking that, like, I can't think of the time right now, but oftentimes there's stuff that I'll think of, and I'm like, yeah, I heard about this on the dirt sheet. I wonder why I bet they won't mention that. And he'll make a comment on it, and then they'll move on. And I'm just like, hell yeah, Pat. Thank you, you know? And so that's why I like him, because he is like me if I was on the commentary booth. He says the things I'm thinking.
And again, I don't really have anything against him. I don't. I think he's a lot of fun. I think he brings certain energies. I just also think that there's room to grow for that.
Right.
Type thing. Without actually limiting him to somebody that he's not. There's just things to do better, I guess.
Absolutely.
I could be wrong too. So
I know we're kind of starting to get a little bit closer to that time where you got to leave, DeAndre. So let's go ahead and wrap things up by go ahead and let's rate this match based on 5 stars. You first. I think you already kind of said 2 out of 10. What would you give it out of 5, Freddie?
Well, I mean, if it's going from 2 to 10, I might as well go to 1 to 5. Half point for Grace, half point for Grade.
All right, fair enough. DeAndre,
I'm gonna give it a 2. Love Jordan Grace. One of the things I didn't talk about, me personally, was Nia. Fucking love Nia in that match. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm
6
a big
people
Nia.
at one time, man.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I love that they're making her dominant like they keep doing. I fucking love it.
Yeah, Nia Jax is a personal favorite. So I'm giving it a 2 out of 5.
Okay, and I as well will be giving it a 2 out of 5 as well. So that averages out to be about 1.6 out of 5 for that match for the 3 of us there. DeAndre, I'm gonna let you decide what we talk about next because I know you're gonna have to leave here in a bit. So you want to cover the tag match?
Just keep it going. Just keep going to it.
All right, so let's talk about the tag match. We had DIY. We had them versus Motor Machine Guns in a 2 out of 3 fall match. I actually really enjoyed this match. There was a couple things they did in the tag match that I thought were really damn good. What are your thoughts?
I personally loved this match until the ending.
Yeah.
Or the negative, what I'm going to start the negative first, is that there was, I don't think a lot of, and I'm not saying us, and I'm not saying true heart fans, but I don't think a lot of WWE fans know who DIY really is, because when they came out, it was another no pop at all. There was no pop for them. I personally knew who DIY is from their time in other companies, but there was no pop at all.
Are you talking about DIY or the Motor City Machine Guns?
Sorry.
That's what I was wondering too. Because
Motor City, Jesus Christ, Motor City Machine Guns. Motor City, sorry. I don't think a lot of people knew who Motor City was. Everyone know who DIY is from the NXT, which again, still the black and gold brand, last time in NXT period. Like, for Motor City Machine, the only black people knew who they were because the pop for them is not as big as it should be. It was really, really, like I said, my friend of mine was there. He had a camera for them, and they had some really good seats too. They were like 2 or 3 or 4 rows from the ring. There was no pop for them at all, especially where he was. But overall, I'm a big fan of those kind of matches. I'm a big fan of pure wrestling matches, even the tag team, and it was fucking fantastic up till I hate interference in matches. I don't care what they know. I say I fucking hate interference in matches. I know some need interference to expand on, but oh my god, for this match, you could have had the Street Profits come out after and whoop somebody ass. Whoop the ass. You have to fuck this match up like that, and I feel like that's what they did. They fucked this match up. I liked it up to the ending, personally.
No, I gotta agree with you. I love the style of match. I love the fact that both teams know each other well enough that they could pull some good stuff off. That's fast. There's not really anything that looks botchy. And they had some good moments in the match, like when they did the fake tag and like played that off. That was amazing because you don't see tag teams do that often, at least in WWE. So that was cool. I like that. But I will say the interference, it didn't bug me as much as it bugged you, but I agree. It could have been done after to the same effect. I am excited though because I love the Street Profits, and I was really mad when they botched the heel turn originally. And so I'm kind of really hoping that this leads to them kind of reaching their prominence again and being a big deal.
This doesn't seem like a heel turn to me though. That's the thing. I mean, I know everybody wants to go heel, and if they do go heel from this, I'm okay with that. But this don't really seem like a heel turn. Once Bobby left and they was in that dead zone, they went back to being a quote unquote face. They just seemed just like a get back.
You know what? You're right. You're right. Because think about it. They brought back the old music at the end. When they played their music, it was the old music that they used to do a solo cup dance to. So you know what? Maybe you're right. What about you, Freddie? How did you feel about all that?
I think this is one of those you got to wait for it to play out type situations. The match, I'm going to agree with Dre. The match is what it was. It's not the match of the night, but it was up to that point. It was really, really damn good. I'm going to disagree with the interference, though, because Dre said something he doesn't like interferences at all. I don't like as much as they're doing. If they would tone it down and have an interference once every 10 matches type thing, that's a different story than having an interference every 3 type thing. Because then that story gets old and it's just going to be a copy of a copy of a copy. And when you keep doing that, you're just going to end up with nothing. And that's what's going on. But as far as the Street Profits go, there's a sad part too. This was one hell of a match. But out of the 2 teams that were in it, between DIY and Motor City Machine Guns, which, by the way, Dre, as a wrestling fan too, like I just started watching TNA and I just started watching AEW as well. So I'm not as much out there as before. So when Motor City Machine Guns came out, no idea who they were. I've heard of them, no idea who they are. And they've not really impressed me as much as what they could have in the past. So the problem is that we're talking about Street Profit, who were not part of the match. So that Limelight was stolen. Hell of a match. Limelight stolen. You could have ended the match, which, like Dre was saying, had a clear winner either through nefarious means or whatever. And even with this, it wouldn't have mattered. It makes more sense for the Motor City Machine Guns to win it and then get attacked than to have them lose it, unless they're hoping for a triple threat match because they don't think they can beat either one of them on their own. They're going to have to catch them by surprise.
Right. So I do want to say one thing to based off what Freddie says. Our biggest pet peeve with WWE is the fact that, especially for PPVs or PLEs, we went bushes. They have way too many interferences.
We all like Street Profits, and so it's cool to see them. But honestly, if you were going to have interference in the match and have somebody come out and attack both teams, it would have made way more sense based on what's been going on SmackDown for it to be Pretty Deadly. Because Pretty Deadly had been hoping DIY retain their titles, and DIY has kept telling them, we'll give you a title shot. Oh, no, wait. Oh, no, wait. And that's been the whole storyline. And they've been kind of pushing Pretty Deadly, and then they had the Street Profits come out instead. So if they were going to do it, at least follow the storyline. Do it something that makes more sense. And like you said, Freddie, I guess we'll have to wait and see where they're going with everything.
And see, that would have been a face turn too, because if Pretty Deadly would have attacked DIY, the only problem with that is that if they would have attacked DIY, it would have been a loss for Motor City Machine Gun. So it would have helped out them, period, type thing. Just like Street Profits attacking. Wait, did it?
Well, you know what? Pretty Deadly could have attacked Motor City Machine Guns. It would have looked like Pretty Deadly was helping out DIY again.
Yeah.
But then turn and attack DIY just like the Street Profits did, and it would have been a face turn for them and set up a nice feud going forward. You know, I don't know. This isn't fantasy booking.
It's fancy.
I'll say that for central booking.
My thing is that I don't know if you want Pretty Deadly to go face, at least right now.
Oh,
Right.
I want them to go face. I really do. They're a comedy duo.
They are.
It's really really hard to have a comedy duo as heels. Like it's just
So,
at least tweeners. At least tweeners. You don't want them as heels or faces. At least tweeners because they're
true tag teams in WWE, and I'm trying to think about all the true tag teams in WWE. Let's say the Chief Problems are heels. Who are faces? I saw the Motor City.
Right
LWO
now
is one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's. I know the Garzas are.
they're technically
heels or
tweeners, even though they're
tweeners?
kind of starting to push them more toward. They're tweeners right now, but it feels like they're trying to push them more towards face. But I don't know. But they're not true faces. They're not. They're not.
Yeah, because I feel like they're definitely heels. All I'm saying is though that you don't have a lot of you have first of all you don't have a lot of true tag teams in WWE. Now I think about it.
No, you really don't.
Because if I ask that question and our first two answers are LWO and Guns,
But I would push it more towards faces, heels on the tag team side anyway, because when Fraxium comes up, that is one of the best face tag teams I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, Faxton is great. People love him too.
I want Faxton to come up so bad, but they're not coming up anytime soon. And that's a problem for WWE as well. Some people from NXT that should be coming up like now. Because yes, Obi's a good fucking wrestler in NXT. Obi should have been the main roster a long time ago.
He's had like 10 matches.
Well, Trick should have been up by now.
Yeah, Trick, yeah.
So the lot of people should have been up. Even Roxanne Perez probably should have been up a long time ago. Fucking hate pop rock. I hate pop rocks with a fucking passion. I hate that fucking finish with a passion. She should have been up there a long time ago.
The fact that she was the runner-up, I feel like they'll be bringing her up real soon.
The thing with that though, and Dre, I feel sorry for cutting you off. But the way NXT works is that they push them face and they push them heel while they're down there. Much like Braun Breaker, which did good both ways, even a tag team with Baron Corbin. Like that was a heel tag team to start, and by the end they were faces.
Yep.
Type thing. So by the time, and I don't think they have Obafemi as a face yet, like a face yet. Even Tony D has started off as a heel and now it's a face.
Yeah, they are kind of starting to seem like they're starting to try and turn Obi, but you make a good point for them. But
no, it's going to be a while. Let's just say that.
I'm just saying, based off talent alone and what they've shown, we probably should have been Trick to a extent. Probably should. Roxanne Perez definitely should have been up there a long time ago. Still must understand why she's not there. I mean, sorry, I'm gonna go off the tag teams. I mean, there should have been a lot more up there now. Fresher faces now up there, especially now because they got for women anyway. They have middle card belts now. So you have USA, you have Intercontinental. I mean, Roxanne can go after those. A lot of women from NXT that should be up there should go up there. I'm a big fan of. Another thing I did say about Jada, I love Jada was there. I love Jada Parker with passion. I think that she would do anything. She needs a bigger push in NXT for me.
Yeah, no, and to go back to the point you made earlier, Dre, WWE has got to work on their tag team division. I hate that for the longest time, most of their tag teams were these not true tag teams. They were wrestler A, wrestler B, who's not doing anything. Oh, we'll just put them together, make them a tag team, give them the belts. And so I'm glad to see they finally got the Royal Raiders. They got DIY. They got Motor City Machine Guns. But they need to continue to build. And the fact that we could barely name any face tag teams is sad. Give us a few more face tag teams. Bring Axiom up or Fraxium up.
That's the problem, though, is that Fraxium was two separate individuals that didn't have anything going on at the time that were facing each other, ended up becoming a tag team.
It did work, but now they're a true tag team, though. They got a theme song, they got the outfits to match. But you're right, they did start out not as a true tag team. That's a good point. All right, well, you guys want to rate them?
3 out of 5. We're going to do a 5-star. I'm going to give max, but that's because the ending.
3 out of 5. What about you, Freddie?
I'm going to go 4 because the only bad thing about that match was the ending.
All right, I'm going to go in between the two of you and give it a 3.5 because I felt like it was a pretty good match, but it was a bit short for being a 3 out of 5. For being a 2 out of 3 falls match, I felt like it was a really short match.
But I understand why, though. I mean, you got 2 Royal Rumble matches that's over an hour each. Then you got to give a lot of time to the next match we're talking about. I understand why that match is short, but they shouldn't have made it a 3 out of 5 match, though, if they'll make it that short.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well,
so that means,
that's the problem, though, is that the entire pay-per-view went from 5 to almost 10 o'clock, I think. Like,
yeah, it's 4 hours.
Yeah, 5 to 9:30. So it was a 4.5 hour pay-per-view. If you have, let's say an hour and 15 minutes per Rumble, that brings it up to what, 2:30, and the ladder match another half hour, 45 minutes. Bump that up to the 45 minutes. That's 3 hours and 15 minutes. That's even 45 minutes. That allows the 45 minutes plus the other 30 minutes. So that's an hour and 15 minutes for that match and ads. They could have allowed a lot more time for that match if it warranted that. So I don't see why it was such a short match. This isn't the cut time type thing anymore because they don't need a cut time. They don't have set time limits for whatever. On SmackDown and NXT, and actually it's pretty much it. It's just so those 2 shows now, they have time limits. They don't have it on Netflix, and they shouldn't have it on entire PLEs anymore because those aren't really regulated for time.
Yeah, I agree. You can build into it, and I know they have this kind of initiative of they're trying to do smaller time frames on their PLEs, and that's why we've been getting these smaller PLEs. But I wish they would find a balance. Like, I do feel like when you have pay-per-views that are longer, like TNA and AEW especially, pay-per-views are long as fuck. Like, I've watched a few of them. The matches
4 hours long.
It's so long. But I feel like WWE needs to be in between. Give us a little bit more, but I don't want to sit for 6 hours. All right, so averaging that out, you had 3. DeAndre, you had 4. I did 3.5. That gives us a 3.5 overall for that match. Now, I do want to talk next about what was my match personally of the night, and that was the ladder match, Cody Rhodes versus KO, man. That match was hard hitting, and it legit had spots that made me worried for both guys' lives. Especially like they're saying it was part of the script, but the way it ended with KO looking all knocked out, I thought that was legit.
They both got, let's call them bumps and bruises. They both got a little bit of injuries from that match.
Yes.
It is.
You can't do that to a human body. The stuff they were doing to their bodies and not leave a piece of yourself in the ring. I feel like Big E said it best. They both left a piece of themselves in that match. Like, neither one will be the same. I mean, it's not like they're going to be infirm, but they definitely took time off of their career for that match.
We were talking on Central Booking about one of the matches that I proposed for Mania was a ladder match, and the ending of the ladder match was supposed to, the 2 teams at the top were supposed to fall off the ladder type thing. The 2 spots that they had, the 2 spots that made me kind of clutch my pearls, I guess, were worse spots than the last remaining spot that I had for that match. And I'm sitting there going, my wife, who is not a wrestling fan at all, like she abhors it, she saw my reaction to what happened because I had to rewind it because they played it a couple times and then they wouldn't play it again for a while. So I had to go on Twitter to look it up to show her what I was gasping about, because she doesn't see me react like that. I'm more of a kind of guy. So to see me react like that, that's why I don't do reaction videos, is because it's really difficult to get me to react. That got me to react. Damn.
No, I hear you. My roommate was asking me earlier today. He's like, man, was it good last night? Because there are several times where you got super loud. I was like, yeah, man. I'm like, I already knew. I was like, one was from the ladder match, and the other time was from the winner of the men's rumble. What are your thoughts on the match, Dre?
I thought this was the best match of the night. Just like you. The spots on this. So here's the thing about me, and I guess any wrestling fan that knows me, that I talk to, I love fucking gore matches. I do. I love sanctioned gore matches. I'm not going back to like backyard wrestling when they do barbed wires but the reason why I love AEW more because I feel like maybe that has better wrestling. Two of your Cody and KO is two of the best wrestlers in WWE, hands down. Not the best, but two of the best. And the performance they put on, putting their body through hell for those titles was amazing to me. Got a little bit of color with KO, got a little bit of injuries with everybody, a couple of spots that you like, goddamn, that ending spot was crazy. Even, and I'm not sure it's true or not, but even Cody had to come back to make sure that he was okay.
Right. He didn't try to play it off like he was raising the title.
Yeah. He had to come back, make sure that man is okay because he folded him like an accordion. He folded him.
And he stayed there.
He stood, yeah. But you realize the KO, aka Kevin Sneed, knows how to put those. Was that RH match we had with the iconic one with him and with Sammy now, but
right. El Generico.
El Generico, one kind of the hardcore one that had everything. They did everything to everything. Mm-hmm. He knows how to put those matches on. So man, I didn't. I was like, oh shit, but then I was like, oh, it is Kevin, so he knows how to do that shit.
Right, because a lot of people compare him to like this generation's Mick Foley because his body is just built differently.
So I love this match. I mean, this match was literally my favorite match out of the four.
Yeah, I liked it. And one thing I criticize WWE about a lot is I feel like outside the Bloodline stuff and some of the CM Punk stuff as of late, they don't do good at building up feuds for matches. Like I feel like a lot of people's dissatisfaction with Cody is they haven't really built good feuds for his matches. But this feud with him and KO, the build up, the storyline, it's been really good. I've enjoyed all the interactions of it. I've enjoyed all the spots. KO's really just done such a great job of playing this character that is right. He makes sense. Everything he's saying is true, but he still comes off as this villain. And so, I mean, that made it already going into this match. I'm excited. And then they just put on a clinic. And it was amazing. And yes, I agree as well. I do love to see a little bit of color in a match. I remember one of my favorite wrestlers, Shawn Michaels, man, when he came back, I mean, he bled in just about every match he was in. And so seeing KO busted open and them showing that where they didn't for years was awesome.
Shawn in his the first Hell in a Cell match, not Hell in a Cell, the Limited Chamber. Like you can't you can't find a true edited version of that match. That match ever you find is black and white because that man is pure blood all down his face.
Yeah, 100%. I remember that match, and that was something, dude. That was something. All right, so for me, I'm not gonna give it a full 5 stars, but I'm gonna give it 4.5.
I agree to that.
All right, I'm messing with that as well. 4.5.
All right, so we're all in agreement. 4.5 for that match. All right, so we didn't care for the Women's Royal Rumble. How y'all feeling about the Men's Rumble?
I'm disappointed in. This is one of the problems about doing a wrestling podcast is I get these ideas in my head about what I think should happen. Mm-hmm. And then when they don't happen, I'm disappointed. But I also believe that me booking something shouldn't be anywhere near as good as people who are professionally booking something. So that's where my problem is. Like there's a whole bunch of things that I wouldn't have put in. There's people that I wouldn't have put in, other people that I would try to, like there wasn't a single male NXT wrestler.
Yeah, no, there wasn't. And I was really upset by that myself. I expected to see at least Trick. I expected to see Obi and maybe somebody else. And we didn't have any of them. Their roster is pretty loaded. With their male roster is pretty loaded too.
That's my question, though. That's my question. Who do you put outside of Speed? Because Speed should never been in the first place. I don't give a damn nobody. Right. So I know that you're a bit younger, but Speed shouldn't have been in the first place. I know they're trying to get more reviews for a younger audience. I understand that, but he could have been.
Speed should have been of return. Like Speed should have been Styles.
Yeah. Or you know what? I mean, I know when Tosawa came out originally, I was like, oh fuck, they're wasting a spot. But I would have rather see Tosawa over Speed.
Well, I
To
mean,
be honest with you,
I
and,
mean,
we didn't get coffee. You know, I get that his whole like keep away, you know, keep in the ring and avoid being eliminated thing kind of started to get old. But with him being a heel now, it would have been interesting to have him in the match and try to do that spot and it not work out and people kind of laugh at him or something. Or maybe he's on the barricade and his mom pushes him off. Some shit like that. But they didn't even have Coffee RX Xavier in the match. And instead they're going to have Speed in it.
Yeah,
Though it was nice seeing him get speared the shit out of by Braun Breaker, though.
And they
sideways too.
Tossed. And they got tossed by what's his face?
Yeah, when Otis caught him, I thought Otis was gonna put him back in.
There's a big chunk of skin that came off his leg.
I saw that.
It's a big skin that came off his leg.
One thing I noticed too is that when they pan the camera away from him, his foot was still on the seat, so both feet didn't hit the floor. I kind of wonder if he could somehow get his foot on the seat and just kind of go. I think it would have been great. My problem is that I made mention of this on the show too, that I think that having, and it should be known, that having the title at the time of the Rumble, if you are in NXT, either the men's or women's champion, you should have the seed in the Rumble period. That should be part of the title type thing. So you're not only fighting for the title around that time of the year, you're fighting for the Rumble spot, which also makes the Survivor Series thing that they do, Deadline, so much more important, because that gets you a championship match. Championship match gets you championship. Hopefully the championship gets you the spot in the Rumble, which gets you, if you win that one, a spot at Mania.
Right.
Could you imagine an NXT person winning the Rumble and having a spot at Mania, still being a NXT member?
Yeah, no, I agree. That would be very interesting. DeAndre, I know you got to get going very, very soon. So you want to give the rest of your thoughts on the men's Rumble and on the winner?
My only thing is about that, about the NXT, and I understand why people want more NXT people to be there. I'm trying to find out all the entries who I'd rather enter the Rumble. I'm trying to say who do you take out? Because again, it was a stacked card. It was a stacked match. It's a stacked match. Like who do you take out? I mean, again, you bring AJ back. Nobody thought AJ's going to come back so fast.
No.
So AJ's coming back and there was no legends that came out. There wasn't any surprises. I mean, Joe Hendry was there, which is funny to me. The Sheamus spot. I was enjoying that. We say I was enjoying that. That was hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% because I'm looking and there's nobody. Huh?
Speed, I would have taken out. Okay.
Yeah, you see? Yeah, looking through that list.
No, I was just looking through it real quick. I would not have put Penta in there. And I'm gonna get shit for this. I know how. I would not have put Penta in there. I don't think he's ready. And I would prove it. I wouldn't have put Penta in there. I don't think he's ready yet. He hasn't really. He's made a name outside of WWE, but he hasn't really served enough face to put him in the title yet. Same thing with Speed. I don't think Speed should have been in there. But even with that botch, just even proved it, and everybody saw it. So unless you make that a storyline now, it's just going to be a entire thing off of that. I wouldn't have put Santos in there. So it's 3. Jimmy Uso. I wouldn't have put Jimmy Uso. If you don't have a legitimate reason to win it, like a legitimate, especially on this year's, a legitimate way to win it. Otis, do you ever think Otis would win it? Like, no.
Yeah, thing. But I agree with you. I feel like
I disagree. I'm not going to agree at all. I disagree. I respectfully disagree. I especially disagree, especially with Penta. Penta, I do agree with what's his face, Santos. But I understand why Santos was there because they wanted a lot of luchadors there. But Penta, because Penta is such a big time name outside of WWE, you have to have that namesake in there. You know how that second Raw Netflix was almost as big as the first Memphis because of Penta. Because of Penta and because of everyone else, you have to for that big of a name. And yes, people might not know who Penta is if you're a WWE fan, but you're a wrestling fan. Everybody who Penta is. Penta is fucking amazing. You have to have Penta here. Santos, I fucking agree. You could have put somebody else Santos there, but I understand why they had Santos there because of the luchas.
Okay. So for me, not really. I don't get the entire Penta hype. I don't, because the only thing that Penta I know is what he's shown on WWE so far, which isn't realistically that good. If I go back and watch some previous matches, sure, I agree with that. So I'm gonna heed your love for Penta right now and take that name off my list and then add the Miz.
Now, see, here's what I'll say. What I was going to say is I agree with your reasoning, Freddie, but here's why I don't completely agree with them being taken out. Is I think there's something to be said about using the Rumble to tell stories. And so when you have somebody like Otis come in there and he has stories that he can tell with somebody like Chad, you end up having these good spots in the match to make the match enjoyable. Same thing with Jimmy, because Jimmy had stuff in there with Jacob Fatu and other people, and so I think those are important spots. The Miz, I think, should be.
I agree.
The Miz was a world title winner, and the Miz can do some comedy spots.
Two-time Grand Slam winner. Here's the thing about the Miz, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Okay.
The Miz should be on there because his accolades of what he done in the past. But if the Miz wasn't in there,
yeah.
So I agree with both.
And see, here's my thing too, is that you were talking about moments and stuff like that. I agree with you. I've said time and time again, wrestling is about moments. It will always be about moments. You don't remember matches. You remember the moments from the matches themselves a majority of the time. Unless you're a hardcore wrestling fan, you don't really remember the matches. You remember the moments from them. But I will tell you this. The moment from let's bring it down into sections. Let's go 1 through 10, 11 through 20, and 21 through 30. Out of those sections, what were you most excited for excited during the entire time? And that was the last 10. And it's because of the name value that you had in that. You can build up, and they haven't built up Otis. They're just not really bringing up Otis for anything. He's a comedy character. Comedy characters are okay, whatever. And in any other Rumble, fine. Not this one. The caliber of people that they've had in this one, you could have had 30 John Cena, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, Jey Uso winning the entire thing surprises the hell out of me, but that's one of the cool things about it. But everything else, you have 30 people like that. This is one of the best Rumbles of all time, bar none.
Yeah, I'll say you got to go back decades. You got to go back at least a decade to find a Rumble that was as stacked as this one.
92.
So I very just want to say that you didn't say Ludwig either.
Dude, that pissed me off. I was mad.
That did too.
I like Ludwig, and they did him dirty.
And they're building him, though.
They are.
But,
and so if you're going to eliminate him in 6 seconds, put somebody else in.
And if they're, but that's my point though. If they're building, they're not really building Otis. They're building Kaiser. Kaiser had a bigger opportunity, a slightly bigger chance of actually winning the entire thing. The way they did him dirty, I agree with that. But if they would eliminate all the comedy spots in the Rumble, I'd be fine with it, to be perfectly honest. Because that last 10 minutes of the Rumble, bliss.
My only thing, a couple things. I wasn't saying that Ludwig. Actually, I won't care. I'm not a big fan of Ludwig, as everybody else is. However, though, I was saying that you could have took Ludwig out. You could have took him out. Again, if he's in there, you're like, okay. If he's not, you won't bat an eye. You're like, where's Ludwig at? So, me personally, with that. Again, but we were talking about to make somebody that could take the spots. There's another spot you could took for an NXT person.
I would have also taken out Shinsuke as well, though. So,
I mean, you can't. He's a champion. They had other two champions. Yeah, they had both champions in both matches.
If you want a big time, you got to put all the champions in there, and they put all the champions in there.
But what did Shinsuke do during this match?
He did
Oh, he was
nothing. But
horrible.
if
He was horrible.
if
But
they didn't include him, we would have questioned it. We'd be like,
yeah,
are they mad at him? What's going on? Why didn't they put the other champion in there? Especially when they did for the women's.
He was in there for like a little over 3 minutes, and he was eliminated by Jey Uso, which gives Jey Uso a number, but didn't eliminate a single person. Didn't really have any spots. His music, there was no pop involved to that.
no, there was quiet as hell for Shinsuke.
Yeah, like that's that's a name value issue. But realistically, like I would have had him in a match. This one, I would have had him in a match, either like on SmackDown, have him in a match this SmackDown the night before, good match, and then just not have him in the Rumble, which would have excused him from the Rumble.
Well, and I think retroactively we can look at what happened and what he did and be like, yeah, they shouldn't have had him in there. If he would have did more in the match, maybe eliminated LA Knight since they've been feuding, had something go on with him and AJ, we'd be talking a different tune, I think. But because of retroactively being able to see he didn't do nothing, so why was he there? It's a little different. So we got to get going here. Dre had to go. He had something going on. But he did want to say that he was very surprised by the winner. And I was too. I mean, people talk about WWE not being able to surprise anymore. And for the most part, I think it's true. But I was literally more shocked than I've been in probably the last 5 years at anything WWE's done. Outside maybe Cody Rhodes coming back, CM Punk coming back, and AJ Styles coming to WWE. This is up there for me. How did you feel about that?
I don't think anybody had Jey Uso on their bingo card for that. Anybody. Seeing the odds of winning type thing, which people betting on wrestling still makes me laugh, but I'm not saying I wouldn't do it if I had the money. But having Jey Uso win it, especially over Cena, because the moment it was Cena and Uso only in the ring, I'm sitting there, I was like, oh, crap, it's Cena. Cena's going to win this.
Yeah, right. And I said the same thing.
And I was so disappointed. And I like Jey Uso. I do like Jey Uso. Everybody likes Jey Uso, but he can't, as a main event person, should. The crowd just loves him.
Yeah, he's good. He's charismatic. But I agree 100%. Like, he needs work in the ring because it's not that he's a bad wrestler. He's a great tag team wrestler. As a solo wrestler, though, as a tag team wrestler, it's all about hot tags and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it worked. Him and Jay, they do a couple counters. Then, you do some Samoan drops. You do some super kicks. You do a couple of nice little things, jump off the rope, splash them. You're done. As a single wrestler, you need more. And he lacks ring psychology. And he lacks storytelling in the ring. It's part of the reason why I was so upset when him and Jimmy had the WrestleMania match, because if they truly gave them the time and they both were better at telling the story of the ring, that could have been one of the best matches at Mania. Them knowing all of each other's moves, they could have started the match with this back and forth where they're countering everything the other person does and then slowly having to bring out stuff you've never seen them do before because, hey, he knows all my moves, so let me do stuff. But they didn't go that way. They went with a very predictable thing. And so I do think if they get the belt to Jey Uso, I'm excited. I want to see him switch out. I want to see him have a title run. But at the same time, I don't think he's ready. He's not a good enough wrestler. So either season him a little bit or Gunther's going to have to carry the hell out of that match.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why nobody picked Uso to win it. It's such a surprise is because I don't think anybody thinks Uso's ready. Crap. LA Knight is one of those people too. I think he is over. That man is over. Uso is over. But even though they're over, they're not. They're doesn't mean that they're over. They're good enough in the ring to hit that side of it.
Right. And honestly, if he was better in the ring, him winning opens up so many storylines, because one thing I've been an advocate of for a while with him is the bloodline storyline started with him and Roman. It wasn't Roman and Cody. It was him and Roman. He had those matches with Roman. Roman won in the fall in line. After him winning the title match, him and Roman had I think it was 3 in a row. They had the whole thing. Jimmy brought the towel out and everything. And so how apropos would it be for the bloodline story to end with him and Roman? And so if he was a bad wrestler, I'm sorry, everybody, have him challenge Cody, not Gunther. He beats Cody at WrestleMania. Now you have the tribal chief, but the tribal chief doesn't have a title. However, you have Jey who has the title, and that leads to a match between them. And imagine if he's the one, title versus tribal chief status. Let him beat Roman. But, I don't want to see it because I don't think the matches will be that good. I mean, even Roman, if it wasn't for him being such a big personality, he's not great in the ring. I mean, he's kind of boring in the ring.
I mean, if it was a triple threat somewhere, like him, Cody, and Roman, not main event,
right?
WrestleMania, but like them, it's like a secondary, like the match before it. That'd have been fine because he has history with Roman, he has history with Cody. Cody has history with Roman and everything else. So I think that the storyline would be there, and it would give Uso enough time in a triple threat to pretty much be that tag team person, because you have time to rest, you have time for those spots, and that's pretty much what tag team wrestling is waiting for those spots.
Absolutely.
So I would be okay with that.
Yeah. The one other thing, man, I will say about that match, like, if you didn't already think Jacob Fatu is a star, that match should have sold you. If it didn't, I don't know what you're thinking. The way he was presented in that match and the stuff he did, it was great. I remember when him and Roman faced off, thinking to myself, like, damn, I kind of want to see that at WrestleMania. And then Michael Cole, of course, said the same thing. How'd you feel about Jacob Fatu and his performance in the Rumble?
I still say I want to see him and Bronson Reed as a tag team.
They would dominate.
Yeah,
they would dominate everybody.
They're two people that could. They're two super heavyweights that fly. Like that ring wouldn't have a chance. Type thing.
No. And
I'm not saying that they have a similar look, but they kind of do. They're both big.
Yeah, they're both
bigger. They're both Islanders in some sense of the word, type thing. So realistically, they could. If you're wanting going back to the conversation about putting two separate people who are not tag team people together as a tag team, I think that would work.
I think it would work. The only reason I don't want to see it is because I want to see Jacob go solo run. I don't want to see him spend, even a year doing tag team stuff. I think he's ready to do some solo run. I don't think he's ready for the big championship yet, but the next thing I need to do is see him go against Shinsuke. They already had an in-ring confrontation where he was about to do some stuff, so I had to be like, hey, chill out. Also think it was kind of interesting. I don't know what their plan is with Solo and Fatu down the line, but I expected to see Solo in the Rumble. And I was kind of shocked that he didn't show up. I don't know what they're going to do, but obviously they kind of realized that I don't know what they realized, but they realized something, the fact that he's not in there.
Well, they did say that that since Solo's not there anymore, Fatu's kind of off the leash. So I think what's going to happen is that, like, if Solo's going to come back going to give him enough time to come back as a face, return alone is going to be enough of a, hey, we love this guy, or like, hey, he's back. Then we realize, oh, we don't like this guy. Same thing as Cena. The entire Cena pop. Cena came back after in like 3 months when he should have been gone for 6 or something like that. Superhuman Cena got a huge pop. Right. And then by the time he got to the ring, everybody was booing because they realized that. So you have that pop that he's there, and then you realize that. But if he turns on, if he aids a face against Fatu, whoever the face is, let's say it's whoever, let's say Solo, let's say Sheamus beats Breaker at Mania. Like I was saying before, Sheamus beats Breaker. Breaker has his rematch against Sheamus, and then during that rematch, not during that rematch. Fatu faces Sheamus for the title, by that point, because it's still a mid-card title, so he's getting up to that point. He has the ability, because Sheamus is a huge face. He's always going to be a huge. I don't think you can turn Sheamus heel now. I mean, there's an entire legacy now. You can't change that.
Well, his career is almost done, and so I think it would be wasted.
And if you, with him having the Intercontinental at that time, he would that's going to be a babyface run, because he's going to be higher end of the world, and you don't want somebody to take that away from him, because he's been waited this entire time, too short of a title reign. Wait for Cena to do that, because you're going to want Cena to have the title too, because that's the only one he hasn't had.
Right.
So if you have Fatu facing Sheamus, it'd be a good time for Solo to return to help Sheamus, which will start the feud between Solo and Fatu.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And more than likely, that's what we're going to get. Somewhere down the line, Solo's going to be beating somebody down. And then we're going to hear that music, and they're going to do the whole thing. Oh, he's coming out to help him. And then swerve, he's actually helping the face, setting that feud up. I'm sure that's going to happen.
And if they do that, I want them to return to the entire Street Fighter person.
Yes, absolutely. I think that'd be great. Let him be the Street Fighter, let him be Solo like he was in NXT. I think that's the way to present him. More about fighting, less about talking. It'd be great.
Your mic is getting feedback from your nose there, dude.
Okay, thanks for letting me know.
There you go. I would have said it before, but I forgot about it. So.
Oh, no, it's all good. I'm going to send it to DeAndre. He's going to edit this video anyway, so that'll help. Well, before we wrap it up, is there any other spots or anything else that happened in the Men's Rumble that you really enjoyed?
I was talking to my wife about this, because she, again, not a huge wrestling fan, but she's a very logical person. My wife is probably one of the smartest people I've ever known, which is good, because I'm one of the dumbest people I've ever known. But we were sitting there talking about this, and she's made a comment about, like, why don't you just go sit down at the announcer's desk? Like, if you're a heel, like, for instance, Kaiser, like, that's one of the things, Kaiser's a major heel right now. I would have loved for him to go down and sit at the announcer's desk and just sit there and talk, and then come in. And then if he did come in and then get tossed at like six seconds, cool. That's fine. He didn't have to do anything. He had the entire heel persona at that time,
right?
And his entire creative stuff would have been done at that. He could have done more in 3 minutes of talking than that entire thing did.
Right, which would have worked out fine, because it would have been great, because he would have been like, I'm so smart, a strategy, all this stuff. Pat Mack could have hyped him up a little bit. He goes in the rings and eliminated right away. And then it would have made more sense, I think they did that with somebody where they had him go under the ring. They went through the bottom of the rope, hit under the ring, and the person thought they won, and then they came out.
Nina Vega did it, but then she got chased off by Hornswoggle. That was a comedy.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, somebody was down there. I remember what's his name? Santino.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
went below it, and then ended up getting, I think it was Alberto Del Rio, because Del Rio thought he won it, and then Santino came up behind him and went to throw Del Rio out, and then Del Rio came back.
That's the one I was thinking of. Okay, yeah, I remember that.
And that would have been, because there's a What Culture Wrestling, which is, I mean, shout out to them, but that's one of my go-to wrestling podcasts that I listen to. Type thing. They did a video. I haven't got to watch it yet. But they did a video on, I think it was on what would happen if the last person in the Rumble won that year's Rumble type thing. It was kind of a think tank type thing, which we might do that one of these days on Central Booking, because it's an intriguing concept. It really is. It's an intriguing concept who the last person was to do that. Because like what it was Cena this year, so Cena that would have been a very easy decision. Cena go faces
Cena,
one of the champions. There's a story there. There's no story with somebody like Santino Morella. So what would have that story been after having this random occurrence? Jey Uso's having the same problem right now.
Mhm.
There's no real story involved with that we see right now. So what's the story going to be over the next couple weeks? Unless he does go,
It's going to be a retread of Gunther and him.
Yeah, that's the only real thing he could do, because he doesn't really he would do it with Cody, but Cody is kind of a friend type situation.
Right. And, I'm sure they're going to do a thing where they always do that. Like, Cody will come out and he'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm going for Cody. But at the end of the day, we know it's going to be Gunther. But at the end of the day, we all knew Jey wasn't winning the Rumble. So maybe they'll surprise us again.
The spot where Logan Paul landed on the desk and just stood there and had somebody throw him a bottle of Prime from the crowd.
Right.
And just caught it and drank it and then got back in the ring. That was, I don't think there was a woman's spot that was a save.
No.
I think Vega or somebody like that was holding on to the outside of the ring post at one point, but it wasn't really a save.
No, they didn't have a single save type
away.
Thing. Yeah, no. Logan Paul, he's one of those people, like, I love to hate on Logan Paul, but I give him all the props I can give him when it comes to wrestling, because he came into the business and he's great in the ring. And he's just good at it. Like, there's not many people you see come from outside the business and be a natural. And, he's definitely one of those for me. Like, he reminds me, I mean, he doesn't exactly remind me of Kurt Angle, but it's very much like Kurt, where here's this person that came from a different field into it and just took to it like a fish in water, and so very excited to see him, and he did well, and I'm interested to see what match he ends up in WrestleMania. But very excited for Jey, excited to see kind of how they do the storyline with John Cena, and they already kind of did some of it in the post show with Cena talking about he still has a chance to win it. I do think it's about to lead to one of the most stacked elimination chambers we've had since its inception. Because, I mean, if you think about it, we're looking at Seth, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. We're looking at, like, top guys in this elimination chamber match. John Cena more than likely is going to be in the elimination chamber. It should be one hell of a match. I won't get too deep into who all I think is going to be in there, because I know that's the next thing you guys are doing over at Central Booking, is booking the elimination chamber.
We're fantasy booking type thing. One of the exciting ones that I'm looking forward to is in the middle of summer, we're going to book our fantasy WrestleMania with, like, no rules involved with that. No, like, you don't even have to have a recent person in there. Like, imagine Andre versus, like, Omos versus like have
just a monsters ball type
monsters balls type thing, and be able to, like, there's no rules involved, so you can have a monsters ball match.
Right. You could have Ultimate X. You could do empty arena matches. That's going to be fun. I definitely want to be involved with that. I already have ideas running through my head, and
I know, dude. Like, the entire list of shows that we have over there is absolutely incredible, and I think a couple of the shows are going to be yearly traditions. Like the draft episode is going to be yearly traditions. The Rumble episodes, Mania episode, the award ceremonies at the end of the year are going to be yearly traditions. We may actually do the Rumble show, do the award ceremonies at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And then start off with the Rumble after the award ceremonies. The Rumble kind of kicks off.
Yeah, because it's in that weird time frame of February where we're at now. So.
Yeah, so there's stuff going on. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that we have planned, and it's just anyway.
Real quick,
trying to get sidetracked here.
Things, what's your rating on the Rumble, the men's Rumble? I mean,
we did a fantasy Rumble with the rules of people that are currently in, and we even made it a rules where too it was like 10, 10, 5, and 5, and I think we did it better.
I mean, Kevin's spot alone of the Hulk Hogan angle with all the black wrestlers, man, would have just it would have killed, man. Yeah, I agree. So, what are you thinking?
I enjoyed it. Okay. The last 10 minutes of that Rumble is a solid 4.5.
Really.
The first 20 wrestlers though brings it down. So I'm gonna go maybe 4-4-2, like just at best 4-2.
Now, for me, I will say, even though the botch spot of him actually touching the bottom of the floor with both feet, the Penta did, was sad to see. I really, really liked what Penta did, having Ray and Penta start the match. I thought that was a good way to start it. The crowd was hyped for it. The problem with Penta, Freddie, is kind of like we were talking about with Jey. Like, I understand you kind of being underwhelmed with them. Penta is a tag team specialist. Yeah, he can wrestle on his own well, but he's usually with his tag team partner. And unfortunately, his tag team partner is stuck in AEW right now. So they're trying to push him solo, but he's not used to doing it. I think that's part of the problem he had. Though I will say the match him and Pete Dunne put on, his second match in WWE, one of the best things on that episode.
And see, I enjoyed that match a lot more than his Chad Gable match.
Me too. I won't lie. I was underwhelmed with the Chad Gable match, and I was like, I hope they do better. And then that match happened. I was like, okay, there's hope. And so we'll see what happens. I think, too, he's a little bit bigger than some of the wrestlers, and this might have been, some nerves or something. I'm not sure. But I like the way they started out. I love the stuff they did with Jacob Fatu and with Braun Breaker. And then because of the surprise factor, I mean, I literally screamed, holy fucking shit, and just lost it. And then immediately called my kid and was like, just for the fact it would be a 4, but the fact that they went with the surprise, I'm going to go ahead and give them a 4.5. And so 4.25 between the two of us with the average. Unfortunately, before Dre left, I didn't get his average, his ranking. The men's match was decent. What would you give the show overall, Freddie?
The only thing I can say about this show is that it got better as it went along.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad if they would have had the women's match the way the women's match was, and they would have swept positions where they had the men's match first.
Yeah.
I think it would have been, the show would have just sucked. But if you add pretty much all of my totals together, it's going to be, I don't know, maybe a 3.5. That women's match just brought it down. It really did, because I gave it a 1 out of 5. So for me, that women's match just brought it down. Everything after that was golden, but
yeah. All your average would have been about 2.8 because you gave that one to the women's match.
So yeah, 2.8, which maybe a C. So it's passable.
Yeah, it's passable.
Like I don't think I wasted my time watching it, but then again, if the difficulty level of what they had to only hit that much, that's not good, because they had all of the name value, everything else. There's a lot of women that I wouldn't have put in there that I would have put in for the women's match too. We never talked about that, but
right. No, I agree with you about the women's Rumble. Quite honestly, even though they had a lot more NXT people, like they had Stephanie Vacure and Julia show up, I was still kind of disappointed with who they had in it. And we got into Nikki, but we never even got into Trish, which I felt was a total waste of spot. I mean, I know she got a pop and everything, but dude, we had Trish make her come back. She had a whole storyline at WrestleMania and everything. We're kind of over it. Like, she took a spot from somebody who we could have enjoyed a lot more. Like, there's several people from NXT. I would have loved to see both Rumbles have at least one person from TNA. We got Joe Hendry, but we didn't get a single TNA woman because Jordynne Grace is officially WWE now. Yep. So, it would have been nice to get a Roxanne or Misha Slamovich, but we didn't get that. And that was kind of sad to see.
I was disappointed that Flair won it too.
I tend to be more of a fan of Flair than a lot of people are, just because she does do well in the ring and she's decent enough on the mic when she's playing a heel. But I will agree with what DeAndre's friend said. She just isn't relevant seeming when she doesn't have a title. I had her as the person to win it because I felt like, okay, that's probably what they're gonna do. But I agree. I would have rather see I would have rather see Roxanne Perez win. I think that would have been a fantastic, like you've been saying about having somebody from NXT come in and actually win it. I don't think it's something you could do often, but the first time they do that, that's a hell of a story. And that's a hell of a skyrocket. I mean, you have that person, you want to strap a fucking proverbial rocket to their back and push them to the moon. That's the way to get it done. Is you have them come in, they do the surprise entry, they win it, they go on to WrestleMania, and they win the belt. And like, bam, there you go, instant stardom.
Well, the only problem with that is that it leaves a lot to live up to. Sheamus has said recently that he kind of did his career in reverse.
Yeah,
like the first title he won was like the main title, and now he's trying to go back and get the ones that he missed.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think in that case, if you're going to do that, it has to be one of those people that's like the veteran from another company that is really good and held it. Like if they brought in somebody like, let's say, Moose from TNA that is a huge star already in his own accord where he's at. And then, they used to put those people still in NXT for a bit. It would have to be a situation like that where you have a person who's pretty much a legit star, but they're stardom in NXT. But I don't think a homegrown one, it works quite as much because you're right. It's a lot of responsibility. And we've seen what happens when you get the fan favorite to the belt. Even though they got the charisma, everybody wants to see it, but they're not ready. I mean, we saw it with Liv's first run. Her second run was so much better. But that first run, she got the belt, and then it was not great because she wasn't ready. And then we saw that with LA Knight. LA Knight got the US title, and it was great that he got it. And then he started kind of plateauing because he wasn't ready.
Well, and like for instance, I have the list right here. Nikki Bella, I wouldn't have put her in.
Yeah, agreed.
Who else? Trish, Stephanie Verker, Michin, Natalia, Naomi. The only way I would have put not Naomi in there is that if Jade was returning.
Yeah, without Jade returning,
no,
that was a disappointment.
Without Jade returning, there was actually no reason to have Bianca Belair in there as well. But I agree that we brought up before, like people would have asked questions on why Belair wasn't in there. Not having Naomi in there, I think people would have asked less questions. I wouldn't have had Maxine Dupree in there.
I mean, the spot with her eliminating Ivy now just because they're setting up that feud was nice, but you could have did that moment elsewhere.
You would take a wild guess how long she was in the ring?
It had to be less than 3 minutes, maybe possibly less than 2.
It was less than 2. It was 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Jeez. Well, she lasted longer than Ludwig.
She did. She was eliminated by 3 people though, which I think if they decide to, like, she could go on this weird thing where it's like it took 3 of you to get rid of me type thing. It's a power move.
The Pure Fusion Collective when they were kind of doing that thing. Yeah, because I did like that because I love the 3 of them. I don't like the name of the group, but I like that they're stable, but I really want to see them start dominating. So I did enjoy the spot of them kind of teaming up together, the 3 of them, and dominating in the Rumble for.
Okay, I was sitting there trying to figure out how many people Nia Jax ended up.
I'm looking at the list now myself, and it looks like 9. Wow, yeah, that was great. I mean, I knew they were setting something up when they had all those people on the outside. But when Nia came in and just kind of blasted him off the ropes, it was fantastic. Just like Dre, I'm a huge Nia Jax fan. I wasn't always, but ever since she's come back slimmer, and it's not like she hasn't had her botches, but she seems to be getting better in the ring every match.
Sure it's 9? I think it's 10.
It might be 10. It says here 9, but it could
Vega, Trish, Bianca, Naomi, Stephanie Verker, Io Sky, Raquel Rodriguez, Liv Morgan, Nikki Bella. You're right. I must have miscounted. There's at least four people there that I wouldn't have had in that match. Just there's no reason for it. There's not.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that they could have had. Becky Lynch, AJ Lee, granted. And what's going to make me mad is that if they have if they do have AJ Lee return and it's just a random type thing, like let's say she ends up helping, unless she ends up helping Punk at Mania, that would be the only justification that I could say that she returned at Mania to help Punk. That's it.
Right. I mean, the way I'm looking at it, if she wanted to return, obviously, I think, especially with how well Punk's been received, how well the fans receive AJ, and WWE's not stupid. Triple H is not. I think if she wanted to come back, they would do whatever it took to get her back, and they would feature her in something big. I mean, I hope at some point she does want to come back and she does something big. But yeah, I think part of the reason we're not getting her is just she's not ready or she doesn't want to. Which, I get some wrestlers retire and they truly just want to be home and not do anything.
Well, I mean, it's not that she's not doing anything. She's got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Right. I personally see it as three options. Either if it was just a mini, if it was just a Rumble appearance, it would have been a one-off.
Right.
So they're saving it just for a not one-off, which would be where the entire Mania thing comes in. Or
no,
I just don't. I mean, the Mania thing is kind of off balance because that would have her come back for at least an extended period of time, which would be nice. But at least at the Rumble, in spot 30, which had been huge, the pop would have been huge, as I put on our show. And then eliminated, I don't know, 5-10 minutes later type thing by a heel. And the heel's important because if you want somebody that beloved to be eliminated,
yeah, you use it to get some heat on somebody. It's good for business.
You use it to get heat. That would have been a flare spot.
It would have been a good flare spot. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%.
Actually, to be perfectly honest, who I would have had if AJ Lee was in it, who I would have had eliminate AJ Lee would be Roxanne Perez.
I think that'd be another good heel spot. I personally wouldn't mind seeing, even though she was gone at that point, I would have loved to see Chelsea be the one to eliminate AJ. Especially if you wanted to set up a match between Chelsea and Ryder versus Punk and AJ down the line at some point.
Well, that's another disappointment that I had. Like I would have put Cardona in the match.
Yeah, I don't know. I've said this before, but I think there's some personal beef between Cardona and Triple H because Cardona has been willing and available so many times to come to something for WWE. Whether it's all the Rumbles that have happened recently or other things, every single time it doesn't happen. And when Chelsea came back, I thought, okay, maybe they're going to do something. Because even though he's been on AEW recently, he's doing it without a contract.
Same thing as TNA. Let's just face it, TNA is a subsidiary of WWE at this point. It's
one of their farms,
I wouldn't be surprised if WWE ends up buying TNA eventually.
No, me neither. I think they're going to wait because it's going to be expensive, but I see it happening down the line. Definitely see it happen, especially with all the other shows they're doing with Evolve and with LFG. It definitely, if it doesn't happen by 2029, I'd be shocked.
Well, and I'm waiting for people to say, oh, they're too big now, blah blah blah. They shouldn't be buying the companies. Didn't AEW buy ROH?
Yeah.
And it's done nothing with it?
No, they've done some inter-promotional stuff, but they really haven't done. They've done a few pay-per-views, but they don't really do a lot with it.
Like they really haven't really done much with it. So it's like I wouldn't mind. And I think WWE has done more for TNA than AEW has done for ROH.
I agree. The only reason I kind of don't want them to buy TNA, I really like that TNA has such a unique production style.
Oh no, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I would have a TNA is more of a local indie promotion.
Right. And that's kind of my worry though, is that we would try to change them eventually. Like I would like them to buy it and then just kind of, hey, here's the money. Do what you guys want, and then we'll do cross promotion stuff, maybe an invasion angle at some point, but do your own thing. But I feel like we might do that for the first year, but eventually they're going to start changing their style to be more with the WWE style.
I think they've learned their lesson with the entire ECW thing, though. They try to change ECW into WECW.
Yeah.
So, and it sucks. So,
Well, and I will say, to make your point, NXT has retained its own style compared to
Yeah.
the main shows, so they are capable of doing that.
So I don't know. I don't really see they could do it, but I think since it's under a new regime with Triple H at hand, not only Triple H at hand, but with like the UFC people at hand too,
Right.
having them at the helm, knowing that all the stuff that the UFC owns is different and it's different for a reason.
Right.
So I don't know. I think that I would hope that they would do better. And now that they have a better person who actually listens more, not all the time, but listens more to the fans, I don't know. I think that it would behoove them to keep TNA the way it is, but throw some money behind some production to up the production value that they have, but still keep it as gritty as it is.
Yeah, no.
So, and they might learn some stuff from TNA too, like
Absolutely.
the entire following them out to the ring type thing,
Right.
because their arenas are so small. The places they're going is so small, they don't really have a lot of places to record. So having that as a thing, and now, one of Jey Uso's biggest bits right now is following him out from
where he's hanging out with the crowd on the concourse, and he's like, "Come with me," and follow him in.
Yeah. So, and doing promos on the way to the ring, everything else, I don't think it would be a problem.
Well, I will say you made some really good points about it, and if it does happen, I would be more excited than I would be apprehensive. We'll see. I think we both can agree, though, it's very likely to happen, depending on how this partnership goes.
That's one of the things I don't like about shows. I don't like about the rest. And I know this is what you guys do. You guys do the entire revamp type thing of stuff. But one of the reasons that central booking is because we have open conversations and debates about wrestling stuff.
Right.
So and I think that's a lot of fun. I think having heated opinions on opportunities and stuff that doesn't really matter in the end. Because it's wrestling. It's a male soap opera. It doesn't really matter.
Well, I agree with you, because I think one thing that society has trouble with these days, in my opinion, is being able to have a disagreement and then be okay walking away from that disagreement still in disagreement, especially when it's about something small. And so talking about wrestling and having disagreements, and I'm with you. I think that's part of the fun.
I got to download this before I forget about it.
And no worries. We're actually going to go ahead and wrap things up here.
Yeah, it's just, again, you talk about wrestling topics, they have a tendency to go long. So
well, the last episode we did, the very first episode, was just me and Casey, and we were reviewing, I think it was the very first Raw on Netflix, and we talked for about the same as we have now, just a little over 2 hours. And so yeah, it's just one of those things. And then me, DeAndre, and Harvey did a episode of the Black Life Me podcast me and Harvey were doing, and it was about wrestling, and we talked for almost 2 hours there. So it's just, when you're passionate about a subject, it's real easy to get into it.
Well, and the entire Black Like Me type thing, there's a lot of social issues that get involved with that.
Absolutely.
So it's not just wrestling, it's social issues, and coming from people who have obviously lived through it. Like I wouldn't have anything to say about that, because I've never lived through it. I come from a middle-aged white guy type person, and so even if I did have anything to say about it, like, I don't have anything to say about it, because it's like, you kind of got to be there type thing.
True, right?
I haven't, and I will admit to that. So the best thing I could do is just listen and try to gain a new perspective. And
well, yeah, exactly. And that's kind of why me and Harvey started that podcast. We both had these perspectives from growing up that were a little different, and ours were similar to each other. And we just found it cathartic to talk about it. And we said, if we find it cathartic, others may too. And so we started having these conversations, and really good podcast. If you ever want to check it out, just look for Men Are the Prize anywhere you can find podcasts. And it is a Men Are the Prize presentation called Black Like Me. But before I finish plugging my stuff, I'm going to give you a chance, Freddie, to tell everybody where they can find you and what you're up to.
Well, since this is a wrestling podcast, I do like 4 different shows, but I'm just gonna plug the wrestling podcast. You can find everything on the Bracket Bastards feed on anywhere you find your podcast and stuff like that. But Josh is on there, been on there twice so far. The only 2 shows we've had, he's been on it, and we have wrestling conversations. It's not a review show, it's a thought process. And just if you're a fan and want to talk about just some random wrestling stuff and you enjoy it, come join us, check it out. And sometimes these problems or challenges are an actual challenge. So come with an open mind, come with a passion for the project, and just come and join us. Either way. I am Freddie Fisher on Facebook. You can find me there. On Twitter, I'm at Fisher777, and on Instagram at Can't Lick Me, not one word.
Hey, thanks, Freddie. We really definitely appreciate you having you on today. If you don't know, my name's Josh, aka J-Time. I am part of the I Did Not Make These Rankings podcast network, and this is a Mass Debaters production called The 3 Count. It is the wrestling podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans. You can also find me on Fridays doing the Mass Debaters bracket review show, along with DeAndre, who was on the podcast earlier, and my buddy CJ. And speaking of my buddy CJ, you can find me and him every other Saturday talking it up on Toontastic Journeys, the show where we bring back that old school Saturday morning weekday cartoon nostalgia, but with a grown-up presentation and viewpoint. And you can find all of that online on social media, and as well anywhere you can find podcasts. Just look up Toontastic Journeys or Mass Debaters. That's MASS-DEBERTERS. I think I spelled that right. I might not have, but just Mass-Debaters. All right. But that's it. That's our show. I hope you enjoyed it, because 1, 2, 3, ring the bell. That's the 3 count.